Hey, Danny Doyle here, and I bet when you think of difficult chapters in Arcanea, you do not think of Chapter 9 of Shadow Dragon. But you have not played FE1 0% growth. This chapter gave me fits. So strap in, because we are here for about half an hour, and this attempt alone took me an hour. And it was not my only attempt, and I had several attempts where Marth died a turn or two before being able to seize. So the first problem comes in doors, opening doors and opening chests because of how horrible the trade system is. The one-way trades just don't work. By the way, if you hear any sort of like what sounds like someone sanding in the background, that's my cat in the litter box. She has just gone poop, so it smells stinky in here, and she's scratching the inside of the litter box. And you might wonder, and don't worry, we will cover everything that happens in this map, even with my tangents and ADHD, because we've got 30 minutes to discuss it. And while it is extremely difficult, it's also frustratingly got not a lot going on. And it smells like poop, which is fitting. But the reason you might wonder, well, Danny, if you constantly have the sound of sandpaper in the background because you allow your cats to be in the room while you're recording, why don't you just lock them out? Close the door. Cats can't open doors, and that's accurate. Mostly, I've done it once before, but it's accurate. But they can loudly, over and over and over in the background, because Mercury loves me and I love her, but she is so bonded to me and has separation anxiety whenever there's a door in between us. So I have to allow her to be in here and take stinky poops very close to my desk. Oh god, that smells so much worse than normal. Speaking of worse than normal, this chapter, see what I did there? I transitioned from one piece of shit to another. This chapter is the poop being the piece of shit, by the way. I would never say that about my precious baby. This chapter is horrible. So there is a time cost before you get to any of the difficult stuff as well, of opening the door, moving everyone around, moving everyone through a one tile wide corridor, which is horrible to manage because of the... Moving through one tile wide corridors is always obnoxious in every Fire Emblem game because there's just like not room to maneuver and stuff. But we need to rush because that thief is going to reach the village, which we absolutely need to save. And Martha actually cannot reach it in time, so we have to send someone to defend the choke point. And remember, thieves can walk on rivers too, so all this does is slow him down. Martha has to move his full movement every turn, because I'm not using a warp use on that, but it's annoying. Here we see Roger, who I definitely recruited in the last video. Well, I recruited in the last chapter, but I explained the circumstances of his absence in the last video, which I can't blame anyone for not watching because it's an arena grinding mess, as opposed to this, which is a different type of mess. But yeah, there's a hammer, which means that your most defensively bulky units that can retaliate at 2 range because of the mix of hand axes, regular axes, and hunters is going to be taking effective damage. And that's scary. These fighter pirate people are far scarier than they have any right to be. I mean, axes are scary because they hit hard. I've gone over this over and over and over, but even still, like this I tend to think of this as like more of a breather chapter, just thanks to the modern games. But there's weirdly a lot of scary stuff, despite the fact that there is still not much going on. Now that we've gotten George, these thieves are basically just here for me to fight my way through while Marth takes a circuitous route around, because there is a treasure chest in the bottom right, and again, I'm not using warp for it because I need warp for some late game maps, and I've already used 3 uses because I had to use 2 in the previous chapter, Normally, when playing Shadow Dragon, I make Sheeta my boss killer in that chapter because she can fly, but that was not going to happen. That wasn't going to happen with this Sheeta's stats. She doesn't get the wing spear and you don't get forges. So right now we're just playing the shuffle between Doga and Roger as to who's going to choke the point with the javelin, because it's scary for people who are not armor knights down there. Theoretically, I suppose Bantu could do it, but he doesn't get 1-2 range. It's frustrating because the fact that we're sort of like stuck in this choke point means that there are fewer opportunities for ranged units to attack. You know, like the hand axe or the magicians with their spells and stuff like that. And enemies do have heal AI in this. You might notice a couple are running away. They're running towards those forts in the bottom right. A key player on this map, surprisingly, is Daros, who is not generally someone I think of as being standout, but he is one of 2 units you have at this time who can traverse sea tiles, the other, of course, being Sheeta. He is bulkier than Sheeta. He is more likely to survive multiple pirates than Sheeta, and he's more expendable than Sheeta, which, you know, feels bad to say, but it is a factor in why he's valuable here, is if he dies, I don't care because I don't need him to recruit anyone. Not that the people Sheeta recruits are especially important. Lawrence is, high stats, but he comes at a point in the game where I've already got a boss killer and we're warp skipping everything. There is one person who I definitely want to have Sheeta for, though, who I haven't recruited yet. So Daros is valuable because he is less valuable. It's a sad state of affairs, but I can send him down on the sea to draw away some amount of the pirates to take pressure off of the main group. And they need pressure taken off of them, because they're not handling things especially well. Hunters and pirates and... oh my. Meanwhile, this thief is doing a Doga impression, but he cannot choke the point. He cannot. He is no Doga. The reason that I sent all of my Cavaliers and Paladins to the right is because there were going to be a lot of turns of empty movement, and I wanted to, they're not going to be very useful. Like, you see how many units are standing around in the top left because of the difficulty of the clunky, no room to move area. So they weren't going to be doing much because there's no Canto. In the left-turn front, I figured that being able to traverse the sort of empty landscape easier was a benefit that they offered, because I'm greedy. I gotta get all the treasure chests. You gotta get all the items. You know, it's a Fire Emblem tradition. But yeah, there's not too much to talk about at the moment, but don't worry. I don't know if it necessarily gets more exciting, but at least stuff happens. I suppose I can go over what is in all of these chests. So the 2 that I'm going to be getting with the Thief, and I will just be referring to them as the Thief because I don't remember whether it was Julian or Ricardo. It doesn't functionally matter. They are a thief who does thief things. Is money that doesn't really matter, and a goddess icon that's like, it's fine. Luck contributes to Magic Void in this game, and since everyone has no res, like, Magic Void is nice. I haven't used any of my stat boosters, by the way. I got the Angel Ring, and I'm saving that. I'm saving my stat booster for someone special. You know, I'm saving myself. The bottom left, or not the bottom left, the bottom right treasure chest, though, is the most important one, and I joke about, like, oh, I can't abandon the treasures, but, like, I really can't abandon this one. It's a Worm Slayer, and it's really my only solution to Manicheets. Like, yes, Manicheets have 0 res because everyone has 0 res, but chipping them down with spells from 2 range, it's a thing I can do, theoretically, but it's a thing that's, like, if I want to do a fast kill, I want the Worm Slayer. Especially because sometimes Manakins aren't bosses. As you'll see in a couple of chapters, there is a Manakit that moves, who, you know, I want to deal with him before he kills my units, and just hitting him with Excalibur and hoping for a crit is not, you know, the most reliable thing in the world. Daros is in danger, by the way. So that's scary? Question mark? Like I said, I'm not super concerned with whether he lives or dies. It'd be nice if he did, though. I'd like him to continue to run around with the Devil Axe, because I think funny meme. But this is definitely the chapter where he does the most work. So if he dies here, and I'm not going to spoil whether he does or not, it's not a huge deal. You'll see also that Kane was specifically placed to draw the hand axe person off of our leftmost group. I couldn't get George to reach there. George can counter with the silver bow. George is a very good unit. He joins with near sniper base stats. He's got less than sniper base stats, but like, you don't have a promotion item by now, so he's definitely better than Gordon, because Gordon and Kashim, yeah, they're not great. Bows are not like the best units, but it's just nice to have a hard hitter. I wouldn't call him a linchpin in the same way that Hardin and Bantu are, but he's good. He's real good. He is responsible for the single biggest mistake I make this run, however. That comes later, but just a little bit of foreshadowing, I suppose. You'll see here the weakness that Bantu has to freeze mages, because he still has 0 resistance despite his really high defense, and he got doubled because he's incredibly slow and the Dragonstone is heavy, so it weighs him down even more. Everyone's going to fucking double him. And 7 times 2 is 14, he only has 18 HP. Like, that's fucking scary. Scary shit. So he's got to do a tactical retreat. The left group is... They're just not doing good. They're trying their damn hardest, but they're just not doing good. So that's where Jaden comes in. He's going to come to the rescue, Hardin too. But that puts Marth and George in danger, because Marth, George, and Kane are not like super capable of handling things just like on their own. And you might wonder, well, like, why do they need to handle things? They're headed to an empty part of the map to get a treasure chest. Is it that empty? Much like in the chapter where we saw Minerva and the White Wings, ambush spawns are a thing in FE1. They're not just an invention of FE11. They're less common, and sometimes they come in fewer waves, but here we get a solid 6 turns of pirates. 2 or 3 every turn. No, sorry. 2 or 5 every turn. Some of whom have hammers, some of whom have hand axes, all of whom are very scary, because axes hit hard. Despite not being accurate, axes hit hard. It's the theme of this chapter. It's the theme of the early game. And then eventually Kaga forgets axes exist until Thracia. Which I'm thankful for, but it's still scary. You will notice that Navarre is still... I'm still feeding Navarre some kills. The reason for that is I wasn't able to safely arena grind him all the way up to 10, because enemies do scale based on your level in the arena, and he was able to make it surprisingly far, but it eventually just got to the point where I couldn't find any favorable matchups. If you didn't watch last chapter because it's just an arena grind, that's what you missed. He died quite a lot, and I used save states. Also, shoutouts to Sniper's silver bows looking like a crossbow. Or, I don't know if that's silver bow or iron bow or what it is, but sniper weapons sometimes look like crossbows, and it's always very, very fun, I think. Now that we've taken care of the Magician, Bantu and Roger can have a much easier time just choking this one tile-wide choke point, and I can finally send the Thief to get the treasure chests. Money and Goddess Icon. Not the most important things in the world, but they're useful. It seems like the map is relatively chill. If I hadn't already talked about the reinforcements, this is when they would surprise you, though. There's only 2. It's not that bad, but it's gonna get a lot worse because there are 5 forts down there, and all of them are gonna have people showing up. And since one of my primary combat units is a bow user, it's hard to enemy phase them. Marth can walk on mountains, but so can pirates. Just sort of like crossing to get here, it's gonna be scary. Oh, there were 3 this turn. I thought there were only 2. Well, okay, that's fine. Regardless, I used the door key to open that in order to get Marth to get the Wormslayer. Which, I mean, it's useful. The boss of this chapter is a Manakete, so it's useful in this chapter, but it's also useful later on because Manaketes are scary. And Wyverns are scary. Like everything, or I'm sorry, it's not the Wormslayer, it's the Dragoon. But yeah, normally, I feel like in Shadow Dragon, this is a chest that you just like warp a thief to if you want it. In the same way that like the Almstaff, for example, or there's quite a few instances where you can warp a thief to a chest. Something that makes this game unique is Himern. I believe, I haven't tested because I never get Himern because it's really out of the way and obnoxious, but Himern I know can't be used on the Regalia, meaning the legendary weapons, the Parthia, the Gradivo, the Mercurius, or the Falchion. Can't be used on any of those. Also can't be used on other staves, I think. I might be wrong. I know in FE3 you can't use it on staves, but it makes it not great. Now, what could you use it on? You could use it on Aura and Excalibur, which are incredibly useful items. You could use it on a silver weapon, but you get it after silver weapons are buyable. You could use it on one of the Devil Axes, so you get 9 more Devil Axe uses, I suppose. That'd be a funny meme, Himern the Devil Axe. But there's not much you can do about it. Oh no, Kain is in danger. Or no, I think Harden's in danger, actually. That would actually be bad if he died. But Kain's death would be, who cares? He's past his prime, shall we say. Harden, on the other hand, we're doing a tactical retreat because I don't want him to die. He's a key unit. Like, he is a unit I would describe as a linchpin of the run. Maybe there are more than 3 linchpins, because there's a couple of units that I'm just like, this person is very important for a significant portion of the run, and Harden is one of them. I guess while we're here, while we're just watching the panic-inducing pirate battles, I should go over the various, like, who the key players in the run are. Oh, also, yeah, rip Daros. I didn't notice it. I didn't notice it when I was playing, and I didn't notice it in commentary. Oh, no, Daros isn't dead. He's alive. For now. I actually don't remember when Daros died. He does die. But I don't remember which map he dies in. I think it might be this one? I wasn't going to spoil it, but I don't care anymore because this map is draining even at 2x speed. But yeah, the key portions, the key players in the run. Jagan, obviously, big deal for the early game. And by early game, I mean very early game. Well, I mean, he's still a big deal now. Harden, I would say, is a linchpin of the run. Bantu, definitely a big deal. He makes certain strategies possible. And whoever you promote into your hero is going to be a big deal later. Hero Crest is the first promotion item you get, and it makes a huge difference whoever your hero is. And I feel like your hero can be left to, it's usually Ogma or Navarre, but you can meme around with Rad and Caesar if you want as well. They join in an arena chapter, so they could do basically what I did with Navarre. And then, you know, it'd be a little harder to feed them kills here, because their stats are garbo. And even in the arena, probably. But you could make it work. I'm saying this as if anyone else is crazy enough to do FE1 0% growths. I'm sure there are people out there. Also, not to be a parody myself, you know, I'm not trying to be ableist around that. Yeah. That's the people we've got so far. There are a few more key players who haven't joined yet, and I suppose the warpers as well. Whoever can use warp, which is Lena and Wendell right now. Although we will be getting more warpers, and when you eventually promote a mage, they can probably use warp as well. But, like, why would you? It's just there's so many warpers, and the way that warp works in this with trading, it's you need 3 at most, because there's only 3 stabs. I'm finding it hard to talk about anything, because while it's a little bit exciting, you know, like the danger that George is in, it's kind of also just like it's axe units attacking everyone, axe units attacking everyone. The left-hand side has, you know, slightly more exciting things going on, even though the right-hand side is scarier, getting pincered in by the ones who've come up and around the treasure room, and taking advantage of mountains, mountain terrain. Because George can walk on mountains. The Cavs can't. The Pirates can. Like, we're not in the best situation. It's possible that I should have sent some infantry over in addition to the Cavs, but I don't think that would have made this any better, because they'd be lollygagging behind. You know, some of those people who weren't doing anything on the left-hand side initially, I feel like, you know, they weren't going to contribute much anyway. So here, I'm just sort of panicking, figuring out where do I send these 2 injured units. I go ahead, fort healing, and just minimize the number of people who can attack Marth, give the Dragon Slayer or the Dragoon to Jagan for a boss kill, and then Physic Mirth up, or Reblow. I do love the bad translation names. I always find it interesting when the translation goes with weird names for items that we already have English translations for, or classes. For example, the bow fighter instead of archer/hunter. It's always interesting to me when translations make that decision. I don't know. I like some of those things though. I like it's probably one of the reasons that I have affection for FE1 is the weird choices that they made in the clunky translation. Like calling something the Dragoon or the Kill Sword. It feels fun. Like they're fun. They're fun little names. I also, shoutouts to, I don't think I've highlighted this yet, but like Bantu's animation is one of my favorite animations. It's very NES. Very NES. Yeah, welcome to Pirate Town. Population us. But Daros has become Sail. Whether he survives or dies, he's accomplished his becoming of Sail. I do think that baiting people over the water qualifies as becoming Sail. It is, Oh, also, if you see glitched text like that, that's when the enemy heals, generally speaking. So there is that cleric there that's healing the pirates, and that's where the glitch text comes from. Part of the difficulty in this overwhelming force of just 5 pirates a turn is we have units who function best at choke points, and we can't choke the points, because they're bridges that, you know, they can walk on water. We've got a bunch of bridges and a bunch of units who can walk on water. So we're really just sort of, like, we're kind of fucked. Like, we're really not doing great. It is the silver bow that gives the crossbow animation. The steel bow gives the giant bow animation, and both of them are cool. Here I'm just trying to defend Marth as much as possible. As many places as I can prevent Marth from getting attacked. Like, just, let's do this. Sorry about the weird jump cut as well. I ended up moving Jagan, thinking about attacking, and then I got called away for a work crisis and didn't have time to pause the recording. Ended up changing some things around. Had to stitch them together in a weird way and cut off portions, but you know, it's just the way it be sometimes. But yeah, fort healing being ridiculous in this game is really advantageous for us, because it does mean that when someone gets hit by a hefty axe, we can just sort of, you know, heal them up a little bit. And now I do think it's time for a tactical retreat from Pirate Land. I mentioned just a few minutes ago not being able to choke the choke points. It's not entirely true, because it is harder for pirates, or not harder, it takes more movement for them to walk over water than to walk over land. So it at the very least slows them, but we can't just like throw Bantu and Roger on a bridge and call it a day, which is unfortunate. Here George is just like getting surrounded by melee units. Hilariously, they are employing the player tactics that you use to train someone like Wendy or whatever. And now Jagan's gonna use the Dragoon to fight the boss, Manu. I actually knew someone in college named Manu. He was a Brazilian exchange student, and he was really cool. So, does this confirm that dragons are from Brazil? Tell me in the comments. And yeah, George is gonna have to survive one more enemy phase, as are, you know, all of the other units near those pirates, because I don't think I have the ability to kill this one. Oh, I got excited because Bantu doubled because axes are heavy as fuck. But I couldn't kill, and so now I just have to hope that it's good enough. And thankfully I did knock him into healing AI. Come on, George. Fuck. Well, that's not good. Whatever am I going to do? I'm gonna use a safe save, obviously. It's not going to be always that I do that, but I mean, this was my third attempt for the map, and I was over an hour in. Let me have this. Like, comment, and subscribe. I promise this isn't just going to be save states to play through.